Yeah, this is me back in the band. This is Hal on the bass.
Could have just said band.
I could have, but I'm not going to. Back in it was, and back in it shall stay. Always back in. This is Matt on the guitar as well. This is the first time I've ever performed with a backing band, specifically backing band. There was arguments during rehearsal. Let's suffice to say that it's a very Frank Sinatra backing band relationship. The lucky for us is hell of the names, really. I could have just done with X and Y, but I didn't. Yeah, so we're going to do some spoken word with some music. The first one we're going to do tonight is entitled Police and Thieves. The sun becomes a radioactive Buddha in the sky. Tarmac is bubbling on the streets like the La Brea pits. The police constable and the petty criminal take a deserved day off and flocking to the park or melting in the shade of a silver birch. Over twister ice lollies and chilled beer, they observe each other like estranged lovers. It is too hot to fight. It is too bright to move. How's the family? The constable asks. Oh, the family's fine, you know. The criminal replies, how's the wife? Well, the wife is into Zumba. The criminal brags, that's really great. A mate of mine was out with his boys. Took on some busies and won. Burst one's nose while they were calling assistance. In the distance, the sound of children playing getting tangled in swings. You think that's bad? The policeman grins with a glint of satisfaction, a diamond in his left eye. You should have seen what me and the lads got up to last night. Thanks very much. Quit me job on New Year's Eve. It was a hell of a cause for a celebration. I finished work and I was straight out, it was great. But this might possibly be the only good thing that came out of that job. A poem about why I really fucking hate it. It's called Where the Phone Calls Come From. Stale sweat drips down the digital mill with the sound of 1,000 chickens packed close. Chained to a headset, slave to the bills, Monday morning desk like vertigo. Chaos caused by alarm bell telephone rings like the sirens in a war zone blitz. This is cold calls. Always be closing. If they do, then say you have kids. Because you want to succeed, you'll lie and not care. This place creates a certain look with time. Once the repetitions made you numb, it's like a bulb's been switched off behind your eyes. Lobotomized, you mumble dumb. It's true, we were never really built to listen to these sounds so regular. We're designed to solemnly stare at the screen. We fade and softly wilt in darkness, with our backs perpendicular. Our youth commutes past us unaware. And here the managers come to crack whip shout and hold meetings to get issues resolved. Like the mechanisms that milk a cow, without them, we'd freely evolve. But a long time bound in this swivel chair warps a person's body like the Morlocks. The belly widens while arms and legs wither. In fluorescent light you learn to stare during work, unready for a robot, but each day you'll feel more similar. Who would have thought this place could impress? But sitting at the table of technical help. I find no attraction but a great respect for a chittering telecoms elf. Dressed head to toe in paisley woven green, her red hair explodes electrified. With darting eyes she nervously cackles from a lack of sleep and too much caffeine, but this ethereal creature is kind and expert in the work she tackles. Cobalt eyes now, monitor fixed, she finds someone lives in one dairy lane interpreting data. She sees they exist somewhere in this ocean of grey. Fingers composing on the keyboard, her hands become translucent, blurry. She changes ADSL on PSTN, swaps IPs and DPs to Accord. She conducts a bureaucratic symphony till this movement comes abruptly to an end. This skill takes half a life to learn. The creature tells me like Tchaikovsky's Ghost, and I try to picture the result if she turned her hands to the performing arts or prose. The craftsmanship and the execution matches the finest Savile stitch, is equal to a monument in ancient Rome, but no soul cares about its constitution. To the world, well, it's only flicking a switch, and past these walls, no one will ever know. Thanks very much. Has anyone heard of a group called the 99% before? They were kicking about last year, they're on the news quite a lot. Camped out in city centres and tents and things like that. There was some at the Monument in Newcastle. And it was in reaction to a statistic that 1% of the world's population own 50% of the world's wealth. And you can see why they were protesting when you think about it. It's pretty disgusting, considering that 100,000 people, at least in the northeast alone, are struggling to make ends meet, looking for a job. And some of these people are young people as well, people that have just left school and uni. I found myself in this boat when I left uni a few years ago. And this poem started off as a really kind of personal reaction to the situation. But as sometimes happens with poems, the voice itself like changed. So it wasn't mine anymore, and it was about something slightly different. It's called Dear Mr. 1%. Dear Mr. 1%, tonight, me conscience is the light bulb's filament left on 2 weeks too long. And when it pops, I'm gonna blow the whole fuse box and leave this world in darkness. Something inside us is breaking. Me patience is the gas pipe now leaking, releasing a sulphurous hand which caresses every crack and crevice, waiting for this spark to become a fist. Something inside us is igniting. I don't want anything served on crockery, just every lie that's been spoon-fed to me. I want every prospect, every dream, every work hard and get where you want to be. I want the heroin of politicians' promises to take off like a lead balloon. I want every billboard to seem worth it, like the next thing I buy really will change me life. Like this existence isn't emptiness and wasting time. And your sympathy, it tastes like methadone. And your charity feels like the punchline of a joke where I will go hungry today to pay me rent and fuel your second yacht, Mr. 1%. Something inside us is went blind. me hopes, or a retreat built on a cliff's edge, eroded by the sea each day? No, as you feel that floor bending tonight, you need to move fast or be buried alive. Something inside us is giving way. So I might leave this room tonight because the emptiness is deafening. And I might ricochet against 100 others like me who walk these streets because they're lost. We're not organized because we're alone. And we don't speak for one cause because there's nothing left to fight for. But as this brick crumples a shut front window like a falling curtain, I picture your face because I'll never live to see it. Are you sleeping safe, Mr. 1%? I know what I'm doing is wrong, but as I steal, I feel in control for once. Like a caged tiger with live bait, this is a faint memory of controlling my own destiny. And you can feel that every day, can't you? So ask yourself why I'd want to feel it too. Sign sincerely, a nation's youth. Thanks very much. At the end of last year, as Kirsten was saying, I was asked to write a poem about where spoken word is going in the next 30 years. And this was my response. It's called retelling. The spoken word is to this silk-skinned girl more valuable than rubies, because lines and rhymes are the way she records, and memory is essential for a history. You see, all paper turned to pulp, and computers' chips reduced to dead shards of plastic, but this story must be told. She's 12 years old, lives with another 22. Most are adult refugees, scavengers from the last city engulfed by ungodly tsunamis. Today, her uncle taught her their island is a mountain's peak, submerged as the sea swelled and stopped short of the summit. He told the tale of the way it oversaw farms and villages, standing sublime over all life abandoned now. He added, the top is hardly large enough. They share caves and the cliff's face, growing rice and handmade paddy. Some were prepared with seeds when they escaped. Hardly enough though, and often they starve. We are the lucky ones. Her mother mumbles sometimes, and the girl wonders why mouthing this makes her cry, but never asks, is still too shy. In the morning, her and two friends search for treasure, washed ashore by a sea like tar. Some days, useful tools get swept in, but mostly plastic, decomposing toxic waste. The sea reflects the sky above a concrete grey. The grown-ups talk about it as a shade of blue, but the girl can't picture how this could be true. Still, she cranes her neck to catch this colour every time. Its great beams break the thick clouds standing in the ocean like glowing towers. At night, the elders gather, using driftwood and scraps to make fire. As the children sleep, beating on makeshift drums, they share stories of the old earth. In those days, humanity was a blossoming tree. Neon structures touched the sky, glowing incandescently. Cities boasted millions, bustling in laser-dappled streets, building on ideas, increasing in complexity. The internet connected minds and let them think in harmony. Stem cells brought control of life by curing bodies with disease. Travel into space led to impossible discoveries, and on Earth, they were moving through land, air, and sea. More importantly, they were designing a new kind of society, one that placed its emphasis on individuality. Art and music warped under fresh creativity, and rap exposed the world to the word without melody. Only some saw this blossom falling off the leaves. The others were like those who will not grieve, wouldn't believe the first signs of catastrophe, ignoring all the warnings of the weather changing rapidly. Hear now this story build, like the fire into a frenzy, the teller's bodies flicker in the dim light erratically. The others were like those who wouldn't grieve, refused to consider their lives without luxury, ignoring screams of children, calling killing sprees necessities, the wars for land, excusing armies dropping bombs on factories. To them, it was easy to seek a scapegoat as a remedy, as the monsoons consumed them in a whirlwind of uncertainty, then a vacuum of sleep. A blossoming tree. The others wouldn't grieve. The others wouldn't grieve. A touchscreen tablet remains, an artifact of those days. They switch it on once a year, guessing at the precise time. The battery's already worn down to half-life. How thin their worlds become, just a breath above the water, struggling to stay afloat. They will teach the girl this story because it's her identity, and without the spoken words, she's nobody. Thanks very much, cheers. They're sounding good, aren't they? I was so impressed. They took my phones away. I made a recording and just passed it to them. Met up like a month later. I was impressed personally. Right, I've got one more poem for you all. Just before I go, I just want to thank you all for making it out. I know some of you have come a really long way, so it is much appreciated. I just want to thank Kirsten as well for not only letting us headline the event, but also for allowing us to mess about with these two backing musicians here. It's been a lot of fun, and you don't get many chances like that, so thanks very much, Kirsten. I've got one last poem, and it was written for someone really special on their birthday. It's called On Your 23rd Birthday. Today, let's leave our future, make a home in our present, forget where we'll be in 10 years, 10 days, 10 seconds. Those fantasies are everyday make-believe, and when the time finally arrives, nothing is how we imagined it would be. We are only the sound of this breath, the unison of these heartbeats, a universe of touch as these fingertips meet. Let's soak up this moment like we own it, because it's all we are. But then, in an empty Tyneside cinema, we saw the light. As it illuminates this world, takes 8 minutes to hit our eyes. How the deeper we gaze into the night sky, the further we travel back in time. You are always the most relative to me when we are close. I mean, any of those energies pestering our senses each day are just snapshots of history. To reach us takes time, so the present moment spreads out only from our minds. I know you've met those know-it-alls who waste their lives arguing only genetics or teachers decide how we react now. I would say these are just 2 threads in a vast tapestry of chance. DNA and culture are interwoven with wealth and poverty, with the weather last Tuesday, with the last word we heard, and with the first thing we ever saw. Our causes are infinite, and each is equally important. They would take to the end of time to list, never mind explain the countless consequences they play on our lives. So who would waste the day creating fairy tales or trying in vain to trace the path which brought us to this place? Today, let's just be you and me. Today, let's embody each moment. Today, let's just be us. Thanks very much.